Federation, Alhaji Yayale Ahmed, former Governor of Gombe State, Alhaji Danjuma Goje, heads of government and extra-ministerial departments, in special reference to Dr. Mele Kyari, Chief GCEO, NNPC Limited, Mr. Shehu Usman Meibornu, GMD, New Nigeria Development Company, Engineer Adoke Tomubiye, who is Vice President Upstream NNPC, and other EVPs.
The OPL 809 and 810 integrated project is situated in the Gongola Basin of the Upper Benue, situated along Bauchi and Gombe states.
International organizations here present, traditional rulers who have come to bless us, Your Excellency, my lords, spiritual and temporal, members of host communities, members of the media, the fourth estate of the realm, friends of Nigeria, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. What excitement, what fervor, as history is being made today, and we are privileged to join in the joy and happiness. And one who is so privileged to join in the joy and happiness, Your Excellency, is sitting in front of us today. I'd like to welcome and greet His Excellency, the APC Chairman, Alhaji Adamu. You're welcome, sir. It's good to see you always. I'd like to say that the joy is infectious, Your Excellency. The host community is agog. All stakeholders cannot express their happiness, more than enough happiness across the room. I welcome you, Your Excellencies. My name is Eugenia Abu. I'm a national broadcaster, media and communications expert, and I am working today with one of Nigeria's finest, the forward-looking Richmond Osuji, a man of many parts. Today, on this 22nd day of our Lord of November 2022, we welcome you all to the presidential flag-off of the Kolmani Integrated Development Project by His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari. In 2019, the NNPC Limited, then a corporation, had announced to the world that they had deployed world-class cutting-edge technologies, including surface geochemistry, ground gravity magnetic strike field detection, full tensor gradiometry, aerial surveys, to de-risk exploration in the frontier basins. All of this high scientific terminologies, Your Excellency, means that frontier exploration has been carried out, has taken place, and has yielded positive results today, and which is why top government officials and industry stakeholders have gathered today, pleased that all these years search and frontier exploration has brought us to this point today. Welcome to the Kolmani OPLS 809 and 810 at the Kolmani Field and the Kolmani River Project, the site which lies in the Gongola Basin of the Upper Benue Trail, straddled between Bauchi and Gombe State. Excitement, opportunities, and national pride. And more importantly, the number one citizen, President Muhammadu Buhari, has joined us for this fantastic, worthy celebration and activity of the flag-off. Richmond, can you talk us through this development? Thank you very much, Your Excellencies.
Thank you very much, Eugenia Abu. Your Excellencies, Royal Highnesses, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. At the just concluded conference of the Nigerian Association of Petroleum Exploration is NAPE, industry experts were unanimous in their agreement that to hit net zero target by 2060, we must accelerate our exploration and production to achieve 3 million barrels of oil per day by 2032. Today's event, which is a core policy thrust of His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari's administration, marks another milestone of the government's commitment to promoting industrialization, balanced economic growth, and prosperity for the citizens of our dear nation, Nigeria. Now, not only does this get us closer to achieving that target set by industry experts, it will also increase our strategic reserves by over 1 billion barrels and stimulate the economy of northern Nigeria and Nigeria in general through the many phases of this project. Without much ado, I'd like to welcome for the very first comments at this event our first speaker. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming one of the strategic partners of this project, the Group Managing Director of New Nigeria Development Company, Alhaji Shehu Usman Meibonu, for his welcome address.
Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, Your Excellency, sir, the Senate President, Speaker of the House of Representatives, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Honorable Members of the National Assembly, Executive Governors, His Excellency Asiwaju Bola Tinubu and Senator Kashim Shettima, the Chairperson and Board Members of NNPC Limited, the Group Chief Executive Officer of NNPC and top management of NNPC, the Chairman, CCE and Board Members of NUPRC, Royal Fathers, Chief Executives of companies and heads of government agencies, invited dignitaries, members of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I would like to express our sincere gratitude to Almighty Allah for today. We are gathered here to celebrate the discovery of hydrocarbons in commercial quantities in the frontier inland basins of northern Nigeria, specifically in the Kolmani River 2 oil field. It is worthy of our recollection that the approval and matching orders of President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, given to the defunct Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation in 2016 to commence exploration activities for deposits of hydrocarbons in the Benue Trough is singularly responsible for the historic discovery of oil in commercial quantities in northern Nigeria. This has ended the doubts that had lingered over the decades that there could be oil in northern Nigeria. This has also ended the stagnation in the growth of oil reserves in Nigeria and opened up the possibility that the country's target of 40 billion barrels in reserves is highly likely to be achieved from the discoveries in northern Nigeria. For the New Nigeria Development Company Limited, founded in 1949 and reinvigorated with an expanded corporate charter in 1960 by the Premier of the then northern Nigeria, the late Sir Ahmadu Bello Sardauna of Sokoto, we have just got our second lifeline from President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR. NNDC liquidated some of its historic financial investments in 2005 to put the only bids for OPL 722, 733, 809 and 810 located in the Chad and Gongola basins. No other company apart from NNDC had shown interest in the oil blocks at the time. The conviction of the federal government to resume exploration activities in the frontier basins and the determination of the NNPC Limited to drive the desire of the federal government under the leadership of Mr. President has led us to this historic success at Kolmani River 2 field. If not for the matching orders of Mr. President for exploration activities in our fields and to his credit everywhere else in the frontier basins, our investment would have come to naught. It is therefore my honor and privilege on behalf of NNDC's owner states, that is the governments of the 19 northern states, the board of directors and staff of NNDC, that we thank Mr. President for coming to the rescue of one of the few of Sardauna's surviving legacies. The developmental impact of today's milestone for our country through the conversion of the discoveries in these fields to value creation for Nigeria and the economic multiplier effects in the host communities and states cannot be quantified. Already, strategic partnerships have been developed with the appointment of a financial and technical services provider, SIPCO. The concept of selecting a funding and technical services contractor to uptake the crude and the gas produced from the fields is a well-conceived and a welcome development. More of such partnerships should be forged with professional private companies with world-class track records of oil and gas operational excellence and financing capacity, particularly now that this recent development has opened up the region for investors in oil and gas. We are hopeful that the federal government will sustain its support to NNPC Limited for the completion of field appraisals to maximize the full potential of hydrocarbon resources in the region. There are certainly more discoveries to be made if exploration activities continue. Again, we are confident that the current efforts of the administration that has led to improved security in the Northeast will result in stepped-up exploration activities and discoveries in the Chad Basin. At this juncture, let me acknowledge the unrelated support given to NNDC by its owners, the governments of the 19 northern states. Thank you very much, Your Excellencies. In addition, our appreciation goes to NNPC Limited and its subsidiary companies. The competency exhibited by NNPC in designing an integrated development plan as a model for the landlocked fields and steering the exploration that led to the discoveries is worthy of commendation. We also appreciate NUPRC in providing encouragement and support to NNDC. I would like to also mention Dr. Tajuddin Umar, who had been very instrumental in NNDC's acquisition of the blocks in 2005, as well as Engineer Rabi Suleiman for his support while he served at the NNPC. Finally, on behalf of the board and management of NNDC, I wish to congratulate Mr. President and the entire team involved in the operations that led to this noble and historic success, with the faith that this groundbreaking ceremony would provide the required boost to the economic fortunes of Nigeria. I also wish to welcome everyone to this occasion and pray that we return back to your various destinations safely. Thank you.
Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the GMD NNDC Malam Shehu Usman Meiborno used two very distinguishing words today. One of them is marching orders by His Excellency Mr. President. The second one is rescue mission to ensure that this project sees the light of day. And I'm aware that in 2019, Mr. President visited this site. And today, as they say, history is being made. Let's hear a round of applause for Mr. President and those marching orders. I'd like to put on record that the GCEO NNPC Limited, Malam Melekari, in his overall, is seated beside the woman who is sitting atop the board, the very distinguished Senator Marjorie Chuba Okadibo. A round of applause for both of them. I'd like to also put on record that the Adamawa State Governor has been sitting quietly in our midst. His Excellency Governor Finitri, we welcome you, sir. We see you. We thank you for coming. I'd like to put on record that we have with us, Your Excellency, the governors of Yobe, Sokoto, Plateau, Kebbi, Jigawa, and Borno, and the stakeholding states of Bauchi and Gombe, where this project is straddled, and they're sitting as stakeholding state governors on either side of you, Mr. President. To your immediate right is the governor of Gombe, and to your immediate left is the governor of Bauchi. They are the stakeholding states. We're very pleased that this is taking place, and as a nation of many that has many blessings with agriculture, culture, diversity, mineral, and oil, let me regale you with the crops that grow in this area. They have maize in this Kolmani region. They have sorghum. They have millet. They have bambara nuts. They have watermelon and groundnut, all of which are my favorite things. And for good measure, as I made my way here, I picked up a bit of history. Did you know that the group gathered in this area are the Kanuri, the Fulani, and some Jukuns here? Did you also know that Kolmani, as we know it, is in fact Kolomari? For amongst the Kanuris, Kolo is a common name. So clearly, one of the first settlers here was Kolo. And so it became Kolo's area, which is Kolomari, which has now become Kolmani. So if I decided, Your Excellency, that I wanted to own an island, and we were talking about it with Sophie Mbakwe, the Managing Director of EdServe, and she said to me, we might as well have Sophie Marie, Eugenia Marie, and Richmond Marie if we decided to have an island. And so history is being made right here, and it's time for me to invite to come and give us an overview of this project, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the Managing Director, Sterling Oil Exploration and Energy Production Company Limited, managers of this project. Help me welcome Managing Director, SIPCO Limited, Mr. Mohit Barrett.
Mr. President, GCFR, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Your Excellencies, Senate President, Speaker of the House, APC Presidential Candidate and Vice Presidential Candidate, Governors, Ministers, Members of the Senate and House of Representatives, Traditional Rulers, NNPC Management, NNDC Management, Regulators, Associations, Industry Captains, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to stand on existing laid protocols. Please also allow me to indulge you to a short video of our project.
This story started over 30 years ago when Shell and Chevron were awarded oil prospecting licenses. This was part of their obligation under the production sharing contractual agreement. Drilling of their respective blocks, which were Kolmani River 1 and Masara 1, commenced almost immediately. Unfortunately, due to reports of self-commercial discovery of hydrocarbons, coupled with the landlocked nature of the locations, both oil giants were forced to leave. This took the same route as the previous awardees, as no significant outcome was achieved after efforts to further explore the acreages for commercial findings. This partnership further grew as NPDC engaged the services of Frontier Exploration Services, FES, a division of NNPC, to acquire three-dimensional seismic data over the Kolmani River prospects area. FES went into an aggressive exploration to achieve commercial discovery in the basin. This laudable initiative resulted in the maturation of several drillable prospects in the area. Areas such as the Kolmani River 2 and 3 and subsequently Kolmani River 4 were studied to determine the size of hydrocarbon find and explore deeper targets. President Muhammadu Buhari on the 2nd of February 2019 arrived at the site of Kolmani River 2 and flagged off the spreading of the wells in a truly auspicious occasion. The first phase of this campaign in Kolmani area led to the successful initial discovery of 1 billion barrels of oil and over 500 billion standard cubic feet of gas with prospects for higher volumes. African Oil Field Movers Limited Consortium in 2021 was engaged as a strategic partner for the integrated development of OPL 809 and 810 on Tuesday, 22nd November 2022. President Muhammadu Buhari is here again, this time for the presidential flag-off of Kolmani Integrated Development Project of Oil Prospective Licenses 809 and 810 at the Kolmani field sites, which straddles Bauchi and Gombe states. Being an integrated project, the first phase will entail an in-situ oil refinery of up to 120,000 barrels per day capacity, a gas processing plant of up to 500 million standard cubic feet per day, a power plant of up to 300 megawatt capacity, and a fertilizer plant of up to 2,500 tons per day. It was thought of as impossible, has been proven otherwise. This is a story of resilience, courage, and prosperity. This is the story of Komani.
I want to use this opportunity to thank the Nigerian government for finding us as a reliable partner on this vital project. We recognize the importance of this project in attaining energy security, food security, and financial independence for Nigeria. We assure you we are committed and capable of delivering on the expectations of over 200 million Nigerians. I'm pleased to share with you we have secured the requisite financing required for the initial phase of the integrated development project, involving the drilling and completion of oil and gas wells, setting up of an in-situ refinery, a gas processing plant, a fertilizer plant, and a power plant. We assure you, Mr. President, that we will deliver on our commitments and your expectations. As an energy company, we are a leading independent producer in Nigeria. We have been production sharing contractors and financial and technical partners to NNPC for almost 20 years. Our strength is in our project execution, backed by technical and financial discipline. In 2019, with your gracious support, Mr. President, we signed the first financial and technical services agreement on OML 13. I'm very honored to report back to you that very soon this greenfield asset will be producing about 50,000 barrels of crude per day. All these milestones would not have been possible without the strong support and collaboration of NNPC Limited, the industry regulators, government and security agencies, union associations, and our very own host communities. Mr. President, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we assure you that with this flag off today, jobs are guaranteed to be created, economic prosperity of our nation will be boosted. This is our promise to you as your partners in progress. Today is just the start of our long journey together. God bless Nigeria. Nagode Sosai.
Nagode Sosai. Mr. Mohit Barat, thank you so much. What a really beautiful summary that video has given us of all that will happen here in the coming months, years. And I love the way he concluded that we're starting a long-term relationship. Can we please give him another round of applause? In his time at the helm of our national oil company, the NNPC Limited has taken final investment decisions on numerous projects that is stimulating the economy of our nation from the south of Nigeria and now to the northern part of Nigeria. He has been described as distinguished senators of National Assembly as one who demonstrated strong patriotism in seeing the fruition of the now passed PIA. He is known around the industry as a champion of transparency, and now he is leading his national oil company again in delivering another first. Please welcome with me our next speaker, Group Chief Executive Officer of NNPC Limited, Dr. Mele Kolo Tiari, FNAPE.
Excellency Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic, Distinguished Senate President, executive governors present here, honorable ministers, Bola Tinubu, honorable ministers present here, captains of industry, our elders, our traditional leaders present in this place, particularly those of them from Gombe and Bauchi states, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen of the energy sector of our economy, and our friends in the media, ladies and gentlemen. May I crave your indulgence to stop the protocols at this point and to say good afternoon to Mr. President. It is my immense privilege to welcome you to this very auspicious event, heralding the start of the integrated development of the Kolmani oil and gas fields. The search for oil and gas in the frontier basins of Chad, Sokoto, Anambra Platform, Calabar Embankment, the Benue Trop, the Dahomey Basin, the Bida, and the ultra-deepwater Niger Delta has spanned decades without significant outcomes, and we are continuing the exploration activities in most of these locations. However, the singular determination of Mr. President to ensure optimum exploration and exploitation of our natural resources, and Your Excellency's special directive for NNPC Limited to re-strategize and utilize available human, technological, and other material resources to prosecute exploration activities in all frontier basins resulted in the discovery of the commercial oil and gas deposit in the Kolmani prospect in April 2019. This was further appraised and validated by the Kolmani 2 well in October 2019. This discovery has enabled the understanding of the frontier basins in the reef system from Nigeria with potentials for further large-scale finds. Our teams are currently engaged in several exploratory activities and have commenced re-entry into the Chad Basin with the recent assurance of a clement security situation. Mr. President, we confirm that development framework put in place guarantees financing and access to relevant technology required to deliver this integrated project, as you have heard from our development partner who just spoke. Mr. President, we opted for in-situ development in recognition of the peculiar location of the find and the need for speed to market. We're also looking at pipeline evacuation framework to distant market as we continue to explore for more oil in this region. No doubt, the establishment of a refinery, fertilizer plant, power plant, and associated upstream oil and gas processing facilities will translate to greater energy security for our country, enable economic growth, provide thousands of jobs, and other opportunities that will invariably deliver revenues to the Federation. Our partner and stakeholder engagements have indicated unquestionable zeal to support our campaigns for further exploration activities and for the delivery of this project in particular. May I particularly mention the extreme collaboration and support of the governments and people of Bauchi and Gombe states. We are convinced that this collaboration will be sustained to drive the delivery of value to all Nigerians. As you directed, Mr. President, we are leveraging every available de-risking platform and mechanism, including access-based financial frameworks to ensure delivery of this project and others of similar circumstances. This is part of the statement our partner has just mentioned. Our collaboration with the new Nigerian Development Company, both as the production sharing contractor to the Federation and a delivery partner of our upstream company, resulted in the remarkable outcome that are committed in the plan of today. Let me see this opportunity, Mr. President, to appreciate and thank the outstanding staff of the Frontier Exploration Service of NNPC, whose toil, competencies, commitments brought about the discovery of the Kolmani River. And of course, it also gave us the understanding of other reef basins in this country, which has pointed at the direction where we can find more oil in nearly all parts of the reef system in the country, in the Bida Basin, Sokoto Basin, the Chad Basin, and including the lower Benue around Kiana. We also acknowledge the support of the government security agencies that enable protection of our workers and access throughout the campaigns, and even more as we scale up our presence here. Thousands of people will move into this place, Mr. President. Mr. President, above all, this day will not have materialized without your constant and consistent support and steer for NNPC Limited to do everything possible to deliver on this project. Your Excellency, you will surely stand out as one of your lasting legacies. Thank you very much for your time and attention, Mr. President.
Thank you very much.
Okay. That was the opening remark by the Group CEO of the NNPC Limited, Dr. Mele Kolo Kyari.
Him and his team a round of applause for bringing us to this day in history. Our next speaker receives the charge from the Minister of Petroleum Resources and runs with the different agencies of the agency, and of course works closely with the NNPC Limited in not only delivering the feats that we're here today flagging off, but also in delivering value in the gas sector, making us taking gas in as a position and as a transition fuel. I'm delighted to ask him to join us and address us at this moment in time. Please join me in welcoming His Excellency Chief Timipre Silva, the Honorable Minister of State for Petroleum Resources.
Your Excellency, Mr. President and Minister of Petroleum, today is a very auspicious day, and it marks the closure of many cycles. Mr. President, as you have heard, kick-started the exploration for oil in this area as minister so many years ago. Today, Mr. President is here to close that cycle by presiding over the coming to fruition of all that effort. And in a small way, it also marks the closure of a cycle for me. Because in 2005, I was then working with the then Minister of State for Petroleum, Dr. Edmond Akuru, when this asset was allocated to NNDC in the 2005 bid round. Today, in a small way, working under the President, I am here also to see the coming to fruition of that allocation of effort. Mr. President, the Senate President and Senators of the Federal Republic, House of Representative members that are here, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, our very indefatigable presidential flag bearer, Ambassador Babagana Kingbe, former Vice President and former SGF of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Excellencies, Governors, my brother and sister ministers that are here, Yayale Ahmed, former SGF, the GCEO NNPC Limited, Molekiare, captains of industry, the
distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please permit me to adopt the protocols that have been presented here. I know I have not recognized a lot of you here. Today marks yet another significant milestone in our collective quest as a nation to ensure energy security and access for our people. From north to south, east to west, our country is replete with rich hydrocarbon resources which the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari and Minister of Petroleum Resources is committed to finding and developing to end energy poverty, create shared prosperity, and enthrone sustainable development. In 2019, when the NNPC announced that it had encountered oil in commercial quantities at the Kolmani River well 2, the nation celebrated the news as a fitting outcome for years of geological investigations which were carried on with the tenacity and consistency that embody the pioneering spirit of the organization. Despite the enormity of challenges that NNPC encountered, the day has come when we can collectively witness and celebrate drilling for hydrocarbons in the north of our dear country. At the heart of this administration is a vision to drive infrastructure and industrial development of the country in order to prosper our citizens and make life more meaningful to all. This is the motivation that sustained the quest to reform the petroleum sector, which culminated in the passage and signing into law by Mr. President of the landmark Petroleum Industry Act in 2021. One of the key mandates of the Ministry of Petroleum Resources is to grow reserves from the current 37 billion barrels of oil to 40 billion barrels of oil by 2025. The BIA 2021 provided the regulatory support and framework for achieving this mandate by providing for the Frontier Exploration Fund, which the NNPC can utilize to deploy world-class cutting-edge technologies to de-risk exploration in the frontier basins. The commencement of drilling of Kolmani fields, which could hold as much as 1 billion barrels of crude oil, will significantly contribute in boosting our oil reserves and ensuring a continuous energy sufficiency. Today's event is coming on the heels of the recently concluded COP27 in Egypt, which was the epicenter for discussing the energy transition and climate change. We all recall the commitment that Mr. President made during COP26 in Scotland that Nigeria will attain net zero carbon emissions by 2060. That commitment has profound implications on the manner in which our national resources will be exploited and is responsible for measures which have already been taken to ensure the crystallization of that commitment. These measures include the signing of the Global Methane Pledge, as well as the recent guidelines for management of fugitive methane and greenhouse gas emissions, developed by the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, which was celebrated globally at COP27. The key implication of these measures is that we need to think about sustainability even as we seek to increase capital for government spending through prudent and optimal use of our natural resources and other forms of domestic resource utilization. Given the fact that most players within the international financial ecosystem are progressively moving away from funding fossil fuel development. Financing for demand, supply, and infrastructure prospects will need to incorporate decarbonization into project plans in order to attract funding. Nevertheless, the opportunity for investment and fantastic returns remains undiminished and is continually available to the discerning investors. This is why I am particularly excited at the partnership between NNPC Limited, Sterling Global Oil, and New Nigeria Development Commission, NNDC, to carry out this drilling campaign. This is a testimony of the fact that the hydrocarbon sector will hold promise of return, still holds promise of return on investment, highlighting the role that this resource will continue to play in the global energy mix. Drilling for hydrocarbons, such as will happen in the upper Benue Trough, Dongola Basin, is crucial to our survival as a nation and needs to happen in tandem with the measures that we are taking on our pathway to the energy transition. We recognize that reduction in fossil fuel revenue without sufficient time and support to manage macroeconomic risk and the structural transformation required to build a diversified, sustainable, and resilient economy will have catastrophic social knock-on effect for millions of people in Nigeria, and this cannot be allowed to happen. The risks arising from our current challenges of energy poverty, lack of access to clean cooking fuel, insecurity, and unemployment are pervasive across the nation, but so is the value proposition to all stakeholders. The reward of getting it right is so huge that we have no option but to stay the course and see it through. This is why I welcome the collaboration between NNPC Limited and its partners in this campaign and look forward to the expansion of these partnerships with respect to other basins, which will give us a fighting chance to address the myriad of issues that confront us. In closing, I want to specially thank Mr. President for all the support and guidance that he has provided that has led to this event today. In supervising the drilling exercise, Mr. President has once more demonstrated his commitment to the uninhibited development of petroleum industry and leaving it better and more prosperous than he found it. Indeed, it will go down in the annals of history that it was during his tenure, both as President and Minister of Petroleum Resources, that the hydrocarbons map of Nigeria was redrawn to include a region which was once the subject of speculative optimism, crystallizing instead into definitive prosperity. I thank you again, Mr. President, for also coming along with Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, your decided success to ensure the continuity of this noble vision. Congratulations, NNPC Limited. Congratulations, NNDC. And congratulations to AOML. Congratulations to us all Nigerians. Thank you very much.
Energy for tomorrow, bigger than yesterday. Yes, energy for today, energy for tomorrow, bigger than yesterday.
Energy for today, energy for tomorrow. The NNPC Limited theme song that greeted us when NNPC Limited went from what it used to be to what it is now, more aggressive in the search than ever before with Mr. President's marching orders. We just heard from the Honorable Minister of State Petroleum, Chief Timmy Silva, and he says this is to ensure security access for our people and that the country is replete with rich hydrocarbon resources and to end energy poverty. Let's hear a round of applause for the Chief, for the Honorable Minister of State, who has been in the driving seat along with Mr. President to get us where we are today. Your Excellency, as I traveled down to Gombe yesterday and to Kolmani today, I was in the company of some of Nigeria's engineers, petroleum engineers, drilling experts, geologists, and all I heard from them was the effort, the resilience, the many nights of head scratching, the many strategic moves, and here we are today. Mr. President, as Dr. Melekari has already espoused earlier today, Nigeria has some of the finest minds, and in pioneering with international experts, we have arrived at this historic project, which is the Kolmani Integrated Development Project. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, you would have heard and read in your programs that this project straddles Gombe and Bauchi states, and these two stakeholding states will be making special remarks today. We describe them as the host state governors, and I'd like to begin with the Executive Governor of Bauchi State, His Excellency Senator Bola Mohammed.
Energy for today, energy for tomorrow, bigger than yesterday. You're so much better.
Thank you. In the name of God, the most beneficent, the most merciful. Your Excellency, Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, and the Honorable Minister for Petroleum. I now know why you took that petroleum. We are the biggest beneficiaries, Mr. President. Your Excellency, the Senate President, Your Excellency, the Chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum, and the Chairman of the PDP Governors Forum, including the G5 and the G1, my colleagues, other governors here, including the Chairman of the Northern Governors Forum, Your Excellencies, members of the Diplomatic Corps, Your Excellency, our leader, APC presidential candidate, and his assistant or his vice, my Deputy Governor, honorable ministers that are here present, especially the Minister of State of Petroleum Resources, the Chairman of PDP Bauchi and other chairmen that are here present, my Lord the Chief Judge and the Grand Cadi, Your Royal Highnesses, the Group Managing Director of New Nigerian Development Company and other Chief Executives, especially the NNPC Limited, the Managing Director of Sterling Oil Exploration and Energy Production Company, distinguished invitees, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It is my honor and privilege to welcome Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, to his beloved state, Bauchi State, on the auspicious occasion of the commencement of oil drilling here in Kolomani oil field. I also wish to welcome everybody that I mentioned in the program, in the protocol. It will be recalled that on the 2nd February 2019, our long-awaited dream of oil and gas exploration became a reality when Your Excellency, Mr. President, visited here to spot in the Kolomani River Well 2. Today, being the 22nd of November 2022, another history is being made. Mr. President, as usual, is here again to plug off the Kolomani Integrated Development Project. This is a day that will be cemented in our memories throughout our lives. It is a day that will be remembered for heralding the economic prosperity of our good people of Bauchi and Gombe, and indeed Nigeria in general. For us in Bauchi State, this is an exciting moment. Despite the Kolomani River being the territorial demarcation of the borderline between Alkaliri local government area of Bauchi State and Akko local government area of Gombe State, there is no conflict, no tension between us. The two states remain the same. Gombe was tapped out of Bauchi. We are brothers and sisters in pain and in prosperity. The discovery of oil in any of our communities will be for the benefit of us all. We as a government are already investing in this property and unemployment, protect lives and property, and promote economic prosperity. Bauchi State is today among the top in the World Bank ranking in terms of ease of doing business. I want to thank Mr. President for graciously awarding the contract of the road to this place. The contract was awarded sometime 7 years ago. Like the proverbial Oliver twist, I wish to request Mr. President to kindly intervene and carry out the project to a logical conclusion. When completed, it will assist in providing easy access for the investors, security, workers, and the community. The experiences we have had from the Niger Delta and other communities show the importance of collaboration, community engagement, environmental protection, mutual respect, and fairness in preventing conflict and violence that are often associated with exploration and exploitation of mineral resources. I want to assure you, Mr. President, that we will put in place a mechanism that will prevent the repeat of the Niger Delta mistakes. Oil and gas exploration falls under the exclusive jurisdiction of the federal government. As states, will provide the required community engagement and logistic supports. As part of global best practice and learning from the past experiences, we are calling on the NNPC to midwife a cooperation agreement between both state and Gombe State. The goal of this written agreement, as we have seen in some jurisdictions, for example Tanzania, is to ensure collaboration, synergy, efficiency, conflict prevention in supporting and benefiting from development of petroleum resources and promoting petroleum exploration and businesses in our respective states. We both share the common goal of preventing border conflicts or community conflicts as a result of this positive development of the discovery of oil and gas straddling the boundaries of the two states. Mr. President, all our traditional rulers, the 6 emirs are here, and they are here because they believe that this thing should not cause any difficulty to you to implement. This collaborative agreement will ensure ease of doing business, more revenue generation, protection of communities and environment, and investment, among other benefits. Similar understanding and collaboration will be encouraged between other communities. To our reliable investors, I would like to assure you that your investment will be safe and will yield positive returns. The host community of Burumbu village in Alkaliri has been wonderful and has been a reliable host, and they will continue to be one. We are going to enlighten and sensitize the people on the importance of this project and the importance of being peaceful. Fortunately, there is a provision for the host communities in the Petroleum Act signed by Mr. President last year, another milestone that he has achieved. As investors, we look forward to your active involvement in the state through your social corporate responsibility that directly touch on our lives. The entire people of Bauchi are going to ensure this turns out to be a success story, Mr. President. We invite you to invest in our state, not just in oil and gas, but also in other sectors of the economy. Bauchi is blessed with arable land for agriculture, mineral resources, and most importantly, we are law-abiding, and we know that the federal government is a veritable partner, and that we are always looking up to the big brother. We will continue to maintain a peaceful and harmonious environment, to ensure our ambassadors have freedom to operate for the benefit of our two states, the investors and the nation at large. We thank Almighty Allah and commend the efforts of our military and security agencies. Bauchi State is one of the most peaceful in the country. We work hard to preserve the peace. Mr. President, our deep gratitude and appreciation to your leadership cannot be overstated. This is very well in line with your drive to bring economic activities in every nook and cranny of the country. To my brothers in NNDC, I would like to say a big congratulations to us all. We thank you all, the governors of the 19 states. This is not about us, Bauchi and Gombe. It is about NNDC and the collaborating 19 governors, and we are very much conscious of this. To the indefatigable leadership of NNPC Limited, you are indeed a bastion of energy security. You are the harbingers of great tidings to the good people of Bauchi State and Gombe. NNPC is already walking the talk of your new motto of energy for today, energy for tomorrow. We call on NNPC to continue to lead the way for continuous exploration, discovery, and other development. Mr. President, this project is going to be one of your most important legacies. It will not only assist the country in generating more revenue, it will also create jobs, fight poverty, and also bring national integration. We thank you most sincerely. We are deeply indebted to you. Bauchi State, you are own. You know this is a state that everybody is a Buharist. Thank you very much for always being with us. May God bless you.
Energy for tomorrow, bigger than yesterday. You're so much better, so much stronger.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, Distinguished Senator Bala Mohammed, the Executive Governor of Bauchi State. I am particularly excited about your pledge of commitment to ensure seamless partnership between your two states and the other 17 northern states who all own the NNDC. And I like that you reminded us that even though it straddles the two states, you are in harmonious working relationship with Gombe State. Our next speaker, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, is an eminent public servant whose desire is to make his home state a delight for all to visit. His state is today ranked as one of the safest and one of the best when it comes to ease of doing business. You've listened to his brother governor states or say of how they are working harmoniously. I'm delighted to now welcome a man who has been working like a jewel in the savannah, leading the jewel in the savannah. Please welcome His Excellency, the Governor of Gombe State, Muhammad Inua Yahaya.
Energy for tomorrow, bigger than yesterday. You're so much better, so much stronger.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Your Excellency, the President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, distinguished Senate President and other senators here present, the National Chairman of our great party, distinguished Senator Abdullahi Adamu, our presidential candidate, Asuwaju Bola Tinubu, and his running mate, my colleagues, governors that are here, members of the Federal Executive Council, members of the Executive Councils of Gombe and Bauchi State, the management board and staff of the NNPC Limited, our royal fathers from both Bauchi and Gombe, distinguished invited guests, members of the press, a very good afternoon to all of us. All praise be to Almighty Allah for the privilege and opportunity to be part of this epoch-making event, one that will go in the annals of history of Gombe State
and specifically Kolmani district, where we are sitting here, used to be the farm of the village head of Kolmani of Kaltanga district in the Emirate of Gombe State. And it is equally a historic event because it is an event that will start the real development of oil and gas sector in the northern Nigerian part of Nigeria. Let me start by welcoming Mr. President and paying special tribute to him, whose unique vision and uncommon commitment made today's event possible. As Federal Commissioner of Petroleum during the military era, you played a prominent role in the development of the oil sector, especially in the areas of exploration, exploitation, and building of refineries in order to boost domestic production and improve value chain optimization. More than 4 decades later, as President and Minister of Petroleum in the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the Petroleum Industry Bill was passed under your leadership after languishing in the National Assembly for 13 good years. Today's event, which is a culmination of exploration activities that started in the 1990s, would not have been possible without your commitment to prioritizing the exploration of frontier basins across the country. Today's flag off is a dream come true for the people of the Northeast sub-region. As one-time military governor, your interest in the development of Northeast sub-region is indisputable. This is clear in your commitment towards the security and stability of the sub-region using both kinetic and non-kinetic approaches. Under your leadership, the forces of terror are being defeated and peace and normalcy is returning to our communities. It is worthy of that we learned in the past 6 years of oil exploration in Nigeria. Building on these lessons and experiences, I'm confident that the Northeast has what it takes to avoid the conflicts and mismanagement associated with natural resources exploration as seen in the Niger Delta region. The project will create opportunities for our people across the upstream, midstream, and downstream segments of the oil and gas value chain. Therefore, there will be no source or reason for conflict because all we are after as leaders is for us to source investment and encourage investors to come and put up industries and commercial ventures that will absorb our youth and provide them with job opportunities so that they can as well be proud as young and aspiring Nigerians so that they can be good leaders for tomorrow. For us in Gombe, we are making adequate plans to take advantage of these opportunities. A few weeks ago, we convened the first ever Gombe State Investment Summit, with many investors expressing interest to partake in the oil and gas sector. To this end, we are putting in place human capital development strategies to identify skills requirements in the sector. The aim is to partner with relevant stakeholders in order to equip our youth with the relevant skills and expertise to participate in the project. It is my strong belief that the only panacea to resolve conflict and instability is to empower local communities to benefit massively from the exploration activities in order to foster a spirit of collective ownership and shared responsibility. At the subnational level, under the auspices of Nigeria Governors Forum, Northern Governors Forum, and the Northeast Governors Forum, we are working with relevant stakeholders to harness our vast human and natural resources and all potentials available in order to address the development deficit in the country. Mr. President, I know some people are expressing skepticism at our efforts to invest in hydrocarbon exploration in frontier basins at a time the world is moving towards green energy. However, if the ongoing global energy crisis that has been precipitated by the war between Ukraine and Russia is a lesson to go by, we must and we should learn to throw away, we shouldn't learn to throw away and abandon our own resources and blessings. Instead of blindly jumping onto the bandwagon of Western energy transition and climate action advocacy, our efforts should focus on energy diversification and natural resource balance, as you articulated quite clearly in your November 9th op-ed in the Washington Post. It is therefore gratifying that while efforts are being made to address the security challenges bedeviling the Northeast, strategic investments like this are equally being made to kickstart the economic transformation of the sub-region. Already, the Northeast is lagging behind the rest of the country across all indices of human development, thus providing a fertile ground for terrorism and other related crimes. Reversing this ugly trend requires the mobilization of resources on a large scale, and I would like to commend Mr. President for all his support and concern for the development and welfare of our people. It is our hope that other areas with substantial hydrocarbon deposits like the Lake Chad Basin and the Benue Trough will be equally explored and exploited eventually. At this juncture, I would like to once again extend our profound appreciation to Mr. President for his historic milestone. Special appreciation also goes to the leadership of the National Assembly, my brother and counterpart, the Governor of Bauchi State, the Honorable Minister for Petroleum, Chief Timothy Silva, the Group Chief Executive Officer of the NNPC Limited, Malamele Kolochari, as well as the Board and Management of the NNPC. The New Nigeria Development Company and Sterling Oil and Production Company Limited (SIPCO) are also worthy of mention and commendation. Gombe State is ever willing to provide all the required facilities and support to complement the work of existing NNPC facilities, knowing fully well that about 40 kilometers from this place, the NNPC depot had been in existence for the past 45 years. Equally, we are going to facilitate providing all the enabling environment for businesses to thrive. Gombe being the first in enabling business environment council report of the 2021. We shall continue to maintain that milestone, and we shall make sure we give comfort and accommodation for whoever is coming to invest. I would like to assure you of the commitment of our local communities and traditional institutions to working closely with the security agencies and other critical stakeholders for the successful implementation of this noble project. On this note, I warmly welcome Mr. President, all other dignitaries and invited guests to the official flag off of the Kolmani Integrated Development Project. I wish us all a successful ceremony and a safe return to our various destinations. And let me use the planning word to say Jabama and Alajai. Mungode.
Energy for today, energy for tomorrow. Bigger than yesterday. You're so much better.
Indeed, we are so much better. Just listening to the two stakeholding state governors speak this afternoon, Your Excellency, it shows the commitment of providing enabling environment. His Excellency, the Governor of Gombe State, Mohammed Inuwa Yahaya, who studied accounting at Ahmadu Bello University Zaria, has said energy diversification is critical, and then went on to salute the president for his kinetic and non-kinetic leadership and expressed that this is for the spirit of collective ownership and shared responsibility. Let's give another round of applause to him for putting the matter squarely on the table as it is meant to be, and for us all to take the energy from these two state governors and go forward with it under, of course, the GMD, NNDC, GCEO, NNPC, and all our stakeholding management companies and funding companies. We thank you all. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, His Excellency the President is known by many as a no-nonsense stern man. But when His Excellency is very happy, and all those who know him know his sense of humor, you would see it written all over his face. Mr. President is a very happy man today, and it's showing every time people talk about Sardauna's legacy, his marching orders, his rescue mission. His Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, deserves a resounding round of applause for bringing us all here today and for staying focused on the project and bringing it to fruition. It's time now for me to welcome a man that is tireless and dogged and is in the forefront of his party's campaign, the APC. Help me welcome Chairman Northern Governors Forum, Executive Governor of Bauchi State, His Excellency Simon Bakola Long.
Energy for tomorrow, bigger than yesterday. You're so much better.
Your Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR. Your Excellency, the Senate President and the Chairman of the National Assembly. Your Excellencies, governors that are here, my colleagues, federal ministers that are here, I must also welcome my national chairman of the party, particularly to the national flag bearer of our party, Bola Tinubu, and his running mate. Distinguished members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, let me start by thanking my friend, the Governor of Bauchi State, because I double as the chairman of the Northern Governors Forum and also the Director General of the campaign for Bola Tinubu. He's sitting next to me. I was going to ask him when we are coming for campaign in Bauchi, but he has made things very, very easy for me by declaring that Bauchi is Buhari's. And President Buhari has said, I am very keen about my legacies. I want a seamless transition. I want to be sure that I entrust somebody that will continue with this legacy, including these oil wells. And he has chosen nobody than Bola Tinubu and Sitima. So I thank you for accepting that, because you will not want to give it to a place where even the decision of leadership is in this one. It's unfortunate. So I welcome you back to the trend. It is with great joy that I address you on this occasion on the groundbreaking ceremony of the commercial oil drilling in northern Nigeria, located here at Kobeli OPL 801-810. On behalf of the Northern Governors Forum and the entire citizens of the 19 states, I express our deep appreciation to President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, who has broken the genes of prospecting for oil in the region and bringing the long sites to the level of exploitation. With this groundbreaking ceremony, it is very clear that Mr. President cares about the economic prosperity of all parts of the country and is more determined to ensure that the vast natural resources of the nation are utilized for the growth and development
of the immediate communities and the country at large. Thanks to its visionary and decisive authorization, we are happily gathered here in Kolmeni River to celebrate the first ever commercial discovery of oil and gas in northern Nigeria. Since the founding of the new Nigerian Development Company Limited, NNDC, by the Premier of Northern Nigeria, the late Sir Ahmad Bello Sardauna of Sokoto in 1949, the company has made several efforts in pursuing investments in various sectors, including the oil and gas sector. Today, the NNDC has been granted a second lifeline when His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari graciously authorized NNPC Frontier Exploration Services to commence exploration for oil and gas in OPLS 722, 733, 809 and 810. It is therefore my honor and privilege on behalf of the governments of the northern states, the board of directors and the staff of NNDC to once again appreciate Mr. President for coming to the rescue of one of the few surviving legacies of Sardauna. The historic commercial discovery of oil and gas in oil prospecting licenses 809 and 810 located in Kolmeni River area of Bauchi and Gombe states will significantly impact positively on the energy needs of the country, with attendant effects on the lives of the citizens of the two states and the entire region. With government policy direction, merely result-oriented steps required to successfully harness the hydrocarbon reserves in this area will lead to forging strategic partnerships with professional private companies with world-class track record of oil and gas operational excellence and financing capacity. The take-off of the project will result in building of oil and gas processing facilities, modular refineries, fertilizers manufacturing and power plants in and around the general area and the neighboring states. Ultimately, the supply of the petroleum products, chemical fertilizers, electricity and other derivatives to the region will drastically change the economic fortunes of that region. Most importantly, a lot of jobs will be created, while business opportunities will spring up like never before. That is why the Northern Governors Forum is determined to support and collaborate with the federal government and NNPC Limited to ensure that all field appraisals are done to maximize the full potential of hydrocarbon resources in the region. We therefore appeal for the renewal of NNDC list for 20 years before the end of his administration of this tenure, the timely conversion of OPL 809 and OPL 810 into oil mining leases, and granting the consent of the Minister of Petroleum Resources to NDDC to assign interest to Nigerian upstream investment management services and its development partners. Our excitement is that there are more discoveries to be made if the exploration activities continue across the region as witnessed here today. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we are aware of the need for greater peace and security within the region to enable the exploration and exploitation of hydrocarbon resources in the region to be carried out without any hindrance. As governors, we are ready to work with the federal government, security agencies and the exploration companies to ensure that there is no threat to lives, equipment or any activity within Kolmeni and the region at large. While releasing on the significance of this event, we wish to draw attention of the stakeholders, particularly the producing communities that will be working in the fields, to take very seriously the concerns for environmental protection while undergoing activities. We should be proactive to mitigate any negative impact on the environment and the well-being of the people, using the lessons learned from the Niger Delta and other parts of the world. Finally, we also want to strongly advocate for the collaboration of the federal government and its relevant agencies in the training and capacity building for local manpower
that will participate in this new venture. Similarly, we expect that the producing companies will take very seriously the development of local manpower in order to meet the local content requirement. Such actions will go a long way in making sure that we have a seamless process that will serve the interests of the nation. Thank you. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
That was the address of the chairman of the Northern Governors Forum and Governor of Plateau State, His Excellency Simon Bago Lalong, where he expressed a special appreciation to President Muhammadu Buhari for executing this project, which he described as a great development not only to the region but to the country at large.
Project not only delivers first phase but delivers value across the entire chain as has been promised by the project developers. Thank you very much. Can we please give him another round of applause in appreciation of his kind words. Onwards now to our next speaker, who garnered experience over the years as a reputable lawmaker. And from that experience over the years, he knew where the bodies were buried, what needs to be done to deliver what has transformed the oil and gas industry and has given us a reason to be here today. And so with that sagacity of leadership, he led the current National Assembly in delivering for the industry and for Nigerians the PIB that is now the PIA that has been in the Assembly for many years. Join me now to welcome His Excellency, the Chairman of the National Assembly, President of the Senate, the distinguished Senator Dr. Ahmad Lawan.
Energy for today, energy for tomorrow, bigger than yesterday. You're so much better, so much stronger. Come on, let's go.
Your Excellency, Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief, President Muhammadu Buhari GCEO, Your Excellency, the executive governors of our states, particularly the governors of Bauchi and Gombe, and let me pay special recognition to the chairman of Northern Governors Forum, His Excellency, our presidential candidate, Senator Bola Tinubu, and his running mate, distinguished Senator Kashim Shatima. Very distinguished senators, let me of the NNPC Board of Directors and the board members, distinguished gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. President, congratulations once again for achieving a landmark project, a project that many thought would not be possible within this administration. We are very happy and glad that today, for the second time in a succession, we are celebrating something for the petroleum industry. Mr. President, you led us in the National Assembly to ensure that we pass the PIB. And today, this is one of the products of the PIA, the Petroleum Industry Act. Your Excellency, today is about 63 years when the first oil was struck in Nigeria and Olobri. And today we are in Kolmani. After 63 years, Nigeria has found oil in the frontier basins. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the Petroleum Industry Act provides in Section 9, subsections 4 and 5 for 30% of
profit oil of the NNPC and profit gas for the exploration in the frontier basins. Mr. President, I believe that before we leave, next year, May, 29th May 2023, we can still discover more coal mines across the frontier basins. We should be and we must be in a hurry to do so, because the Petroleum Industry Act has provided a stable, assured and guaranteed source of funding, 30% of the profit oil and profit gas of the NNPC. And therefore, with that kind of resource, we can do a lot more. I believe that when the world is talking about moving to the green energy, what that means is we should be in a haste to exploit our own fossil oil and gas and then meet up with what the world is saying. Because we cannot afford not to work hard to exploit our oil. This is what will catapult us to the next level. Mr. President, I believe that as a son of the Northeast, I must be one of those who are very, very elated. I am indeed very, very happy, very pleased, very relieved, because our sister states, Bauchi and Gombe, will soon be enjoying 13% derivation, as well as get something from the host community development fund in the PIA. So I'm happy that our states will be receiving those. But Mr. President, I'm also worried. Because what has been happening in the Niger Delta with the 13% derivation, or maybe the application, or maybe in some cases misapplication of the resources of the NNDC, would have negative impact all the time. And this is something for this part of the new oil-bearing states to learn from. Or 13% derivation, I think maybe we should have a constitutional review. How do you apply the 13% derivation? That is the reason why we had to go for 3% towards community development. I believe that the host communities here will soon see a lot of activities, and they will also deserve more and more resources for their development. I would therefore advocate that not only the host community development fund, but even the 13% derivation in the constitution should have serious bearing on the lives of the host communities that bear the brunt of oil exploration. Your Excellency, many oil-bearing countries are diversifying, and of course, the petroleum industry, while it's true, can give us a lot of resources, but it doesn't employ more than we need. We need to make conscious and serious efforts at diversifying our economy. While we are getting the resources from the oil, we should be looking at how to make the oil resources move out, develop more and more areas of the real sector where our people can be more gainfully employed to ensure continuing wealth and ensure employment for our teeming youth. Your Excellency, let me also add here that the fact that we have oil does not automatically give us the edge that we need. But we are comforted because we have an NNPC that today can do a lot more in the area of deployment of technology, in the area of ensuring that the environment, like previous speakers have said, are not really contaminated. What has happened in the Niger Delta is worrisome. Even though, to the credit of this administration, the oil spillage and other oil contaminations are being worked on in the area of clearing the spillage
especially in Ogoniland, and that's something worth $1 billion. Your Excellency, therefore, I want to advise that the operators of OPL 809 and 810 should be very conscious and mindful of how they sustain their activities without contaminating the environment of our people. Our people are largely farmers, and therefore land is very, very dear to us, and we don't want to lose any land, and our people are very, very cooperative, and we believe that that synergy, that cooperation between the host communities and the operators will continue to be a very smooth one. And at the end of the day, we pray Almighty God that Your Excellency will get more and more frontier basins that bear the oil. And I want to thank our brother and friend, Governor Bauchi, His Excellency Bola Mohammed. We from the Northeast are seeing the way out. It appears that we are all facing the progressive front. We are facing and going in the same direction. And I want to thank distinguished Senator Bola Mohammed, the Governor of Bauchi, for joining in a way the progressive trend. And I believe that we will be here in Bauchi. There will be no need for any other person to come here to Bauchi. Gombe is home. Bauchi is home, Buharist. And of course, you know the transfer is from Buhari to Aswaju. So thank you very much. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Energy for today, energy for tomorrow. Bigger than yesterday. You're so much better, so much stronger.
The President of the Senate, Dr. Ahmad Lawan, has spoken, and he's spoken on many fronts, including the fact that agriculture is the way of the people in the Northeast and in this area particularly, and therefore appealed for environmental sustainability as the work is going on. We thank you very much, Your Excellency, for your forward-looking speech and for that portion where you encouraged everyone to put their hand on the plow and hope that there will be many more frontier basins in Nigeria. Thank you, Your Excellency. We appreciate you. Let's appreciate him. When I was very young, my father used to say that when a man's wife gives birth to a newborn baby, the man's walk changes, especially the first child. That the man has a different walk. And I began to observe that that is true. That a man whose wife has just had a baby changes his walk. And I begin to observe that we should keep a close eye on the governor of Bauchi State and the governor of Gombe State, just in the event that their way of walking changes a little. They do have a right to boga at this time, because finding oil in your domain is not a small thing. And I congratulate all the engineers, the NNPC, and of course the NNDC and our operating partners, SIPCO. We thank you so very much for all the work you have been doing to change the way that the 19 northern governors will begin to work, led in chief by the governor of Bauchi and the governor of Gombe State. We thank you so very much. I'd like at this point, Your Excellency, to just remember that those who provided the flourish for His Excellency as he walked through the door, played the national anthem, the band leader, Major Otega Ihoriono, and 1+18 bandmen from 3 Division Band Jos. Let's give them a round of applause. They're seated in the back. May we remember how elegantly they saluted the nation. Time now to welcome the Jagaban, His Excellency Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, APC Presidential Flag Bearer, to deliver his comments.
Energy for today, energy for tomorrow. Today, you're so much better,
Mr. President, Your Excellency, the silent achiever, today is an historic day because you've charted a way where they say there's no way. That finding is great. It's great showing a team that is unbreakable can be a team of achievers. You took the saddle of NNPC, make a team out of Mele Kyari and his people. I say Mele Kyari, congratulations. May God bless you. To our fathers, the emirs, I say congratulations to you. The expectation from various local governments will yield bigger fruits in the future. Don't start worrying them yet, please. Finding a way where there's no way. It's not easy. It's been a while. Historic adventure in this country to create more opportunities to discover that technology can be serviceable and make a tool of discovery that will multiply our opportunity. But you as Mr. President, you kept faith. You stayed focused. Say what enemies may, you remain who you are. Thank you. During the primary, you said it has to be free and fair. Level playing field for everybody. I don't care where you face, north, east, west, or otherwise. Just make sure the election is free and fair and clean. That election and Congress produced me. I never thought that I will have the opportunity to even stand before you today for a discovery of great magnitude, impactful discovery that will stage and strengthen the dynamic of our country and make you a blessed inheritor of good history. You will be. Thank you, congratulations for staying focused and for encouraging many of us. Your various regrets each time we discuss the lack of food and the challenges of terrorism. You will talk about Lake Chad. Okay, let me assure you, if I am elected the president, I will recharge Lake Chad. You often talk about Mambila and the electricity. What a problem we have. Even though you are not within the parameters of arithmetic, you know a circle is a circle. And once drawn, you have to break it in different ways. You didn't look, you are not a backward person who look back at the history of disappointment and failures. You are always forward looking. That is why we were debating, I insisted that our title for the manifesto will be a renewed hope. Not knowing that today will happen. And today it is happening. It's a renewed hope for the entire Nigerian Federal Republic of the country. Let me assure you, I will continue to hold on to that renewed hope and carry forward where you left the footprint. I mentioned the other time that don't worry, sir, whatever they say in their social media, television comments, and write-ups, that history will be very kind to you because you are in the class of great retired generals who came to rescue their country. In person of Charles de Gaulle of France, Eisenhower of America, Winston Churchill of Great Britain, and Buhari of Nigeria. No one foreign flag is flying over our country any longer. We may be hungry, but we can manage our hunger. We don't want to kill each other. Today, you gave us a path to prosperity, a path to success. The only thing that I may want to exclude and argue is the West and the Europe. They've used our coal and then fossil fuel to develop their economy, and they ask us to be cautious. But I like your answer. We cannot stay hungry and be starved to death. We have to take care of ourselves unless they pay compensation for it. That's where we stand. discovery will provide multiplicity of opportunity and great prosperity for Nigeria. We will continue where you promised the country. Forward-looking, renewed hope and success, prosperity for Nigeria. May God bless you and bless Nigeria. Thank you very, very much. Congratulations, everyone.
Energy for today, energy for tomorrow. Bigger than yesterday. You're so much better.
That was the remark by the APC presidential candidate Asiwaju Bola Tinubu.
To His Excellency Muhammadu Buhari, the President of our country. When we look back many years in the future, when we look back, we'll remember you for all of these wonderful things that he has said and that my colleague has also reeled out. And indeed, time will fail us to remind Nigerians on this platform more and more of what you've done. If for nothing, the oil and gas industry will forever owe you, sir, a debt of gratitude. Thank you. Can we please give His Excellency Asiwaju Bola Tinubu another round of applause? Thank you, Your Excellency. It was Hendrith Ballon Smith Jr. who said, a good board of directors team is one where ideas are flowing fluidly and where each idea is met with an initial welcome, an intellectual challenge, and an expression of gratitude. And on and on. That expression of gratitude is one assignment that a leader who brought over 4 decades of leading major organizations in achieving rapid growth and success across different sectors of our economy has brought to bear to NNPC Limited. As we begin to get to the point where His Excellency will address us, I want for us to welcome this leader and chairman of the board of directors of NNPC Limited for her vote of thanks. Please welcome the distinguished Senator Marjorie Chuba Okadibo.
Energy for tomorrow. Bigger than yesterday. You're so much better, so much stronger.
Your Excellency, Mr. President, Muhammadu Buhari GCFR, President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and Commander-in-Chief, to my brothers, the governors of Gombe and Bauchi State, I will not be like the Honorable Minister of State who tried to run away with the protocol ball. I shall adopt and stand by the already established, beautifully established protocols. Good afternoon to everybody. My task is very, very simple. Mine is to say thank you to each and every one of us who have made our time today to be here for this historic moment. It is indeed a historic moment for our country, Nigeria. Here I am, all the way from the east in Gombe and Bauchi State. Who would have imagined that today, 63 years later, we shall be breaking another ground in the oil industry. We all know that this is also possible because of the PIA, which has indeed become the constitution of the petroleum industry in Nigeria. It makes it easy for us to have investors, partners in the petroleum industry. To the people of Bauchi and Gombe State, you have heard your governors talk. This should be peace. They should bring development to the states and by extension to us, the 200 million Nigerians who have invested in the petroleum industry. To the board, the management of NNPC,
I want to say thank you to each and everyone who has burnt the midnight lamp to make sure that today is indeed a success. To the 19 governor states of the North, I'd like to say a big congratulations to each state of the northern states. It is indeed a glorious day. I want to also thank our partners in this process, the NNDC, the Sterling Group, everyone who has made this day possible for us to be here at Kolmani to launch this historic event. I'd like to also say that my gratitude goes immensely to Mr. President. When times are tough, especially when we have our board meetings, I always remember the encouragement he gave me on the 7th of January 2022 when I was sworn into the board of NNPC. I remember I said to him, Mr. President, what do you expect of me? And he said to me, you can do it. Go ahead and make us proud. And today, Mr. President, I want to thank you for giving me that opportunity to not just make myself proud, but to make the 200 million Nigerians proud. Thank you very much, and God bless each and every one of us.
Energy for today, energy for tomorrow. Bigger than yesterday, you're so much better.
Your Excellencies, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's Nigeria's famous writer Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie who says, the fact that I'm a writer does not mean that I cannot be beautiful. A lot of the times we talk about people who have beauty and brains, and not only are they beautiful, but they are also very intellectual in their minds and in their thoughts. And one of such persons is the lady who just spoke and gave the vote of thanks, the very distinguished Senator Marjorie Chuba Okadibo, Board Chair, NNPC Limited. Let's thank her for thanking us. Thank you very much, distinguished Senator. Well spoken, well said. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to lay out some ground rules, which includes that once Mr. President has finished speaking, there will be a photo opportunity here. And this photo opportunity, I'd like to name those who will join Mr. President. The President of the Senate, all state governors present, all ministers present, the APC chairman, the presidential candidate of APC and the vice presidential candidate, the GCEO NNPC Limited, the GMD NNDC, chairman NNPC Limited. These that will be in photo 1. President of the Senate, all state governors present, ministers present, APC chair, presidential candidate of APC and his vice presidential candidate, GCEO NNPC, GMD NNDC, MD SIPCO, chairman NNPC. Picture number 2 will have Mr. President, the Minister of State Petroleum, NNPC Management, and the SGF boss, Mustafa. These are the pictures we're going to have. So in picture 1, you will fall out and leave just the Minister of State Petroleum, and also we would have the EVP plus CSSO in the second picture, and the SIPCO management would remain. The NNPC chair will remain in the second picture, and the Minister of State will remain, but everybody else will return to their seats. It is at this point, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is my singular honor and privilege to invite His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, for his keynote address. Mr. President, sir. A round of applause to bring the President to the podium. Thank you very much.
Please sit down. Thank you very much. Thank you. The President of the Senate, National Chairman of APC, Your Excellency the Governors, APC presidential and vice presidential candidates, members of the National Assembly, Honorable Minister of State for Petroleum, members of the Board of Management of Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, religious leaders, traditional rulers, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. Today is important in the economic history of our nation as we move closer to production of oil and gas in the Upper Benue Trough, specifically the Kolmani River oil and gas field, straddling Bauchi and Gombe states. This is indeed significant, considering that efforts to find commercial oil and gas outside the established Niger Delta Basin was attempted for many years without the desired outcomes. However, the successful discovery of the Kolmani oil and gas field by NNPC and her partners has finally broken the jinx record by confirmation of a huge commercial deposit of hydrocarbons in Kolmani River field. This discovery had emanated from our charge to NNPC to re-strategize and expand its oil and gas exploration footprints to the frontier basins of Anambra, Dahomey, Sokoto, Benue Trough, Chad, and Bida basins. Similar activities across the other basins are currently actively ongoing. We are pleased with the current discovery of over $1 billion of oil reserves and 500 billion cubic feet of gas within the Kolmani area, and the huge potentials for more deposits as we intensify exploration efforts. It is good to note that the discovery has now attracted investment for an end-to-end integrated development and monetization of the hydrocarbon resources. As a fully integrated in situ development project comprising upstream production, oil refining, power generation, and fertilizer, the project promises many benefits for the nation. This includes, but not limited to, energy security, financial security, food security, as well as overall social economic development for the country. Considering the landlocked location and the huge capital requirement, the economics of the project is a challenging proposition. Consequently, from the outset, I instructed NNPC Limited to utilize and leverage their vast asset portfolio across all corridors of its operation to de-risk the project to attract the much needed investment. I have directed NNPC to continue along these lines. It is therefore to the credit of this administration that at a time when there is near zero appetite for investment in fossil energy, coupled with the location challenges, we are able to attract investment of over $3 billion to this project. This will surely be a reference subject for favorable discussion in the industry as we pursue with just the energy transition program that will culminate in our country achieving net zero position 1 by 2060. I have engaged the governors of Bauchi and Gombe states, and both have given me assurances of their unwavering commitment and willingness to ensure support and cooperation in these localities as this activity affects the local populations. I urge the NNPC Limited, NNDC, and their strategic partners to ensure all lessons learned from our years of experience as an oil-producing nation are utilized to ensure harmonious relationship with the local communities. Thank you for the warm reception. I congratulate you all and look forward to the successful delivery of the Kolmani Integrated Development Project, another vital pillar in the country's economic architecture. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
I crave the indulgence of Mr. President to be seated while I arrange the photography. Please be seated, Your Excellency, sir. The order of photography, which shouldn't take very long, will be Mr. President, the President of the Senate, all state governors present, ministers present, APC chairman, presidential candidates of the APC, vice presidential candidate of the APC, Group CEO of the NNPC, Chairman NNDC, GMD NNDC, MD SIPCO.
That has been the address of the Commander-in-Chief, President Muhammadu Buhari. It may interest you to know that the journey to the epoch-making occasion of today commenced in the 1990s when oil prospecting licenses 809 and 810 were initially awarded to Shell and Chevron, respectively, as parts of their frontier obligation under the production of sharing contractual agreements on oil mining licenses 118 and 132 for consolidated cost recovery.
EVP CSSO, SIPCO Management, Minister of State Petroleum, Ambassador Kingibe, Ambassador Yayale, and it will also contain the GCEO NNPC, GMD NNDC, Chairman NNPC and Chairman NNPC only. Representatives of the governors present here, Nasarawa and Kogi states, are to join this picture as well. So this is the first photograph, and those in the first photograph will be I'd also like to announce that the Sarkin Bauchi and Sarkin Gombe will be in the second photograph, please. Sarkin Bauchi and Sarkin Gombe will be in the second photograph. Again, let me announce the second photograph. Mr. President, NNPC Management, SIPCO Management, Minister of State Petroleum, GMD NNDC, GCEO NNPC, Chairman NNDC, Chairman NNPC, Ambassador Kingibe, Ambassador Yayale, Sarkin Gombe, Sarkin Bauchi will please make their way for this photograph. And the former governor of Gombe State is here, Alhaji Benjamin Magoji. Please join this photograph now. Thank you very much. To accompany the president for the flag off will be only those in picture number 1. Only those in picture number 1 will accompany the president for the flag off. And for purposes of the national anthem, it will be played only after the president unveils the flag. Those on picture number 1 will accompany Mr. President's flag off. The rest of us will remain seated. Thank you very much. Mr. President, His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari will make his all those with overalls will join in the picture, will join in the escort of Mr. President, and only those in the first photograph are making their way in escort of Mr. President. Those in the overalls should please join. Everybody else would remain seated. Please remain seated. We can see the photographs from here. Keep your eye on the screens and watch what's going to happen outside.
President Muhammadu Buhari is making his way for the official flagging off of the Kolmani Integrated Development Project.
For the Kolomani Integrated Development Project, which have come by me today. Thank you.
Well, congratulations.
This, the Money Integrated Development Project has been officially flagged off. The project that is situated in the Upper Benue, and flag off by President Muhammadu Buhari. And with this, we have come to the end of the live telecast of this historic event. On behalf of the outside broadcast crew, I am Awal Abdullahi saying bye for now and thanks for watching.
This is the network service of the NTA.
Members noted that though the global economy was progressively weakening due to the various headwinds derailing the recovery, domestic output growth remained positive as a result of the continued support from fiscal and monetary policy. NPC therefore urged both authorities to continue to harmonize its various policies to achieve the desired objectives of stable price and steady growth. In reaching its decision of whether to loosen, hold, or tighten the stance of policy, committee felt that given that all the causative factors such as Russia-Ukraine war, supply chain disruptions, slowdown in China, and rising inflation in advanced economies and other headwinds were still dominant, a loosening option was not desirable at this meeting. The committee also felt that with the rising inflation, loosening the stance of policy would lead to a more aggressive rise in inflation and erode that gain already achieved through tightening. As regards whether to hold, NPC was of the view that a hold stands at a period close to December festive season and expected heavy spending during the 2023 general election at the time of high inflation would greatly jeopardize the gains of previous policy rate hikes and plunge the economy deeper into the inflation trap. NPC therefore decided to continue to tighten, but at a somewhat moderated rate, noting that tightening the stance of policy would narrow the negative real effective interest rate margin and thus improve market sentiment and further restore investors' confidence. NPC also felt that recent developments in terms of observed month-on-month deceleration in the rate of increase in inflation suggests that the previous tightening moves were yielding the expected outcome. It therefore felt that sustaining the tightening would further consolidate the decline in inflation, albeit more significantly. The decision. NPC noted that inflation has continued an uptrend, even though at a decelerating rate, despite its last 3 consecutive sizable policy rate hikes. The committee's choices were on whether to further hike rates or pause for the impact of the last 3 rate hikes to continue to feed through. At this meeting, therefore, the options considered were primarily to hold or further tighten the policy rate. The options to loosen was not considered, as this would gravely undermine the gains of the last 3 policy rate hikes. Committee thus voted by a unanimous vote to raise the MPR. 9 members voted to raise the MPR by 100 basis points and 2 members voted to raise the MPR by 50 basis points. In summary, NPC voted to 1. Raise the MPR to 16.5%, 2. Retain the asymmetric corridor of plus 100 and minus 700 basis points around the MPR, 3. Retain the CRR at 32.5%, and 4. Retain the liquidity ratio at 30%. I thank you most sincerely for your attention.
Thank you, Governor. That was the communique number 145 of the 288th meeting of the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria. So yesterday, the 21st, and today, the 22nd of November, 2022. We will take a couple of questions from the press, and of course, tomorrow there's going to be a kind of deep dive on the facts behind the numbers. And so, you tell us your name, the media house you represent, and then your question.
Thank you, sir. My name is James, a major with these day newspapers. Mr. Governor, like you mentioned, you said inflation continues to be a problem to the economy, not only here, but even globally. At 21.9% year on year in October, it is really concerning. So what is the way out, sir, of this conundrum? Then my second question, sir, is concerning this flooding, the recent flooding witnessed across the country. What is the impact, likely impact on prices? Thank you very much, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Leah Katimba Batunde from Nigerian Television Authority. I'm taking my first question from the hike in which some analysts, like the one we've listened to just before you came on, saying that it will not bring down inflation. They're doubting that. Can you also, and so they feel that it will hurt growth. What will be your view on that? And also, since you announced the decision to redesign the Naira bank notes, you've received support from Mr. President. So, however, we are having people talk about the deadline that it might be extended beyond January 2023 to allow citizens, especially those in the diaspora, to make deposits of their old notes. Can you speak to that as well as the volume of money that has been received so far? Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Sunday Michael Ogo. I write for Daily Trust newspaper. Mr. Governor, I'm staying with the last question by Leah. At your last special briefing, you hinted that you seem to have noticed counterfeiting with higher denomination of especially the 1,500 Naira notes. With the redesign Naira, are you looking at reducing the volume of the high currency note and encouraging the use of the lower denominations? I would like to get an insight into your strategy. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Governor. I'm Nduka Chejin of the Nation newspaper. Still on the design of the Naira, the CBN recently issued a statement assuring that it will protect the interest of vulnerable Nigerians. There's the suspension of charges on deposits made to commercial banks applied to those through mobile money. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Governor. I'm Nancy Naji, the anchor of Maryland Nancy on the IT. My question is around, I recall that some time ago, you did actually say that the CBN intends to gradually stop the quasi-fiscal commitments made by the banks and made by central bank. Also in media reports, we've seen at least in the last few days that it's been reported that the Central Bank of Nigeria wants to stop the anchor borrowers program. So I want to know what the status is on the anchor borrowers program, as well as other related interventions, and also perhaps even the flooding, how it will impact your intervention, since a lot of farmlands were submerged on the flood. Thank you.
Okay, Governor, there are two questions from some journalists from Lagos. This is from Bukola Idowu Leadership. Question, the CBN website has an exposure draft of the guidelines on contactless payments. Could you take us through that, sir? And then the final one from Babajide Komolafe of the Vanguard. Mr. Governor, congratulations that the National Theatre resuscitation has started yielding results, because we saw that an international conference was hosted 2 weeks ago. When will the entire project be ready? That's all, Governor.
Well, let me thank those who are asking questions and those who forwarded questions for us to address. It's always a good opportunity for us to explain certain things that are happening around the way we do our work, particularly in the monetary policy committee decisions. The first question said that inflation is a major headache to central banks around the world, and that for Nigeria, the inflation has hit an all-time high of 21.09%, and that what is the way out of this economic dilemma. You are very correct. To all central banks, inflation is indeed a very, very big headache, and even at this time, it's a big challenge to everybody. This is because everybody knows what impact inflationary pressures can have on the purchasing power of particularly the ordinary people. And these are the people that mainly we have been given the responsibility to make sure that that a worsening, inflationary pressure does not totally push them further down into the poverty ladder. However, it is important for us to know that some of the causative factors why the inflationary pressures have persisted since the early part of this year, which includes the Russian-Ukraine war, is not abating yet. The war is still going on very aggressively. US is still raising rates, which therefore will naturally not only lead to outflow of funds to the United States and advanced economies, but will even prevent flows from coming out. Not only that, not just that flows are not coming out, those flows are coming even at very high rates, even within the United States. As a result, financial market conditions globally have tightened, and this is also creating very great challenge for central banks or policymakers, particularly those that may want to access debt to run their operations. And lastly, of course, the issue of the China market slowdown, the China slowdown is also a big issue for the global economy. So I would like to say that these same scenarios still remain in the Nigerian environment, and as a result, we would continue to see the inflationary pressure remaining persistent. However, we feel comforted that the rate of increase in prices, in which case the rate of increase in inflation is moderating gradually in Nigeria. For instance, between June and July, the rate of month-on-month inflation was 1.82%. Between July and August, the rate of month-on-month inflation was 1.7%. Between the month of August and September, the month-on-month rate of inflation was 1.3%. And between September and October, the month-on-month rate of inflation was 1.2%. So for us, we feel that even though the time-tested monetary policy theory expects that at the time when there's inflation is moderating gradually, month on month, we were aggressive in September in fact, raising CRR by 5% to that 2.5, and also raising NPR by 150 basis points. But at this meeting, we saw majority say, let us moderate it and do the rate of increase by 100 basis points. Indeed, two members saying that they would have wanted, if they had a chance, they would have wanted the rate of increase in rates to be at 50 basis points. So I would say the monetary policy is looking at it, and I believe that in the course of time, we will see an improvement in the macroeconomic environment. The second question by James Omejo says that what, in my view, would be the impact of the recent flooding on prices in Nigeria? Like I said, I said ceteris paribus, all things being equal. But what you would expect, that with the flooding the flooding of this year happens to be the worst in the last 5 years in Nigeria. I think I read that out of 36 states, 33 states were impacted adversely by the flood. What that meant was that people who went to farming during the rainy season, they lost their crop. So what you really expect in that direction, you would see that prices of goods will go up, or agri-products will go up. But from our side at CBN and the federal government, particularly for rice or for grains such as maize, we know that we have our own strategic reserves, which we will use to moderate prices as they get more aggressive. We've been doing a strategic reserve program for almost 3 years, and it is yielding results, and we believe that that will help to moderate. But more importantly, the Development Finance is holding meetings and discussions with stakeholders that we will normally work with for planting, our smallholder farmers and the rest of them. And since the flooding is beginning to recede, we would aggressively go into a dry season planting program that will make sure that the impact of the rising food prices does not linger for too long, so that we can have good control on the price of agri products, which eventually will feed through into the prices of ultimately the goods that our people consume generally. So we're doing everything possible to keep it low, but it is not possible for us to commit that prices will not go up. It will, but we're doing everything possible to keep this at moderated level. The third question says analysts are still doubting whether the consistent rate hikes will bring down inflation. They also feel that raising rates will hurt growth. I will address that. We all know that raising rates will hurt growth, because if you are dealing with reining in inflation, which means tightening and raising rates, that will ultimately, the rising interest rates will hurt manufacturing and agricultural output, that will ultimately hurt the growth. We know that. But at this time, given the aggressive rate at which inflation is trending upwards, monetary policy, seeing inflation or combating inflation as its primary mandate, feel that we must deal with it. Not just that we must deal with it, but also because we believe at 21.09%, inflation is already hurting growth. If we did not see this high level of inflation in the last 7 months, we would have been damn optimistic that growth would have hit close to 4%. But because of the aggressive rate of rise in inflation, it is hurting growth at this level in Nigeria. And that's the reason you would see that we are taking this very, very seriously. Because whether you even try to either losing or hold rates low, what you will find is that at this kind of levels of above 14 to 15%, into 21%, growth would either decelerate or at best would be very, very weak, will not be at the level that you think growth rate should be. So that is the reason NPC remains pro reining in inflation, to make sure that we're able to keep prices at moderated level. The fourth question says that we have unveiled 200, 500 and 1,000 naira notes, and that we have received support from the President and the Senate, but that there are people who are saying that that the deadline is short, and that we should shift the deadline from January 31, 2023. And also talked about the fact that those in diaspora also need to deposit their old notes. Let me crack a joke. If you are diaspora Nigerian, you are not supposed to be spending naira, right? You cannot spend naira in the US or in London, so you have no reason to keep naira. So we don't have business with you if you say that you want us to wait for you to bring your naira from US into Nigeria. We will not wait for you. That's a joke though, but it's a fact. But we thank Nigerians. We thank Mr. President, not just because he gave approval to the Central Bank of Nigeria to embark on this program in line with the limits of the CBN Act, but we also thank Mr. President because at a time when we were beginning to face criticisms, without being prompted, he came out, or he has come out twice to defend the action of the Central Bank of Nigeria. We thank Mr. President for this and other support that Central Bank of Nigeria has received from him over the past 7.5 years. We are indeed very grateful. We want to thank the security agencies that have worked with us with the law. We announced this program on October the 26th, 2022, and we said that upon release of the new currency, that it will, the legal tender status will run concurrently with the old currency till 31st January 2023. That is almost 100 days. 100 days is enough for any person in any part of Nigeria to deposit his money in the bank and get ready to withdraw cash when the new notes are released. For information, indeed, we are no longer waiting till December 15th to begin to unveil and begin to release the new notes. By the special grace of God, tomorrow, which is the 23rd of November 2022, the President has graciously accepted to unveil the new currencies, and the new currencies will be unveiled tomorrow at the Federal Executive Chambers by 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. So you are invited to stay tuned and live. Now, so when you talk about whether we have made adequate provisions to make sure that those who have cash are able to deposit their cash in the banks, my answer is yes. Because on 26th of October, I made it very clear. I said all banks would keep their currency processing centers open from Mondays to Saturdays. We went further, released the press release, and said that Central Bank of Nigeria's 36 currency processing centers all over the country will also be left open from Monday to Saturday to receive cash. 3, we have deployed our agency banking network to receive and in fact pay cash when the new notes are released to those in our rural areas. So when people say there are people in rural areas who cannot pay cash, they just are begging the question. They know what they don't know what they are saying. They have other motives, and it is not because they are sympathetic to the cause of the ordinary weak people in our rural areas. In 2020, the Central Bank of Nigeria, or Banking Industries Agency license network, was only 86,000. As at October 2022, our agency banking network has increased to 1.4 million all over Nigeria, in almost all the local governments in Nigeria. I therefore cannot see any reason why anybody would say that he needs an extension because he can't deposit his money in the bank, even if you are in rural areas. And the rural areas are the agency networks. Is like saying that we have 1.4 currency points all over the country. Then how can anybody come and say that he wants to shift the deadline because there are people in rural areas that cannot deposit cash? That is a lie. Big fat lie. They know what they have in mind, and we will not go with them on that journey. Our journey is that on January 31, 2023, all the old currencies will lose their legal tender status and will begin to use the new currencies. We are doing our work in line with the law that establishes us, and we will continue to do so. They also said in our announcement on the design of some denominations that I alluded to the fact that counterfeiting was more with the high denomination. It is true, because you find that counterfeiters find it convenient that when they counterfeit 1,000, it has more value to them than counterfeiting 10 naira or 20 naira or 15 naira, as the case may be. So, and you are asking, that what are we doing, or do we plan to do something about the counterfeit? Does the CBN have any plan to reduce the volume? You know something? In the UK has, the highest denomination is £50. But the most spent currency in the UK, in fact, is £10. Rarely you will find some people spend £20. Nobody sees £50. Okay? If you go around carrying £50 in the UK, they will begin to suspect you. They will report you, in fact. So I think, and whereas the reverse is what is happening in Nigeria. Nigerians want to carry 1,000 naira or 500 naira. And in fact, we are beginning to see or think that increasing the high denomination bills is also part of what may even be fueling inflation. So in fact, yes, we will launch 200, 500, 1,000. Over time, we will reduce the volume of 500 and 1,000 in circulation. Let people carry 50 naira around. If you want to do high value transactions, embrace online, embrace our agency program, embrace our mobile banking program. That is what you need. You want to conduct legal banking or financial services transaction. You have no business carrying 1,000 naira. I don't want to begin to read meaning to why you are carrying 1,000. But I'm saying it is just trite knowledge that we will begin to carry lower denomination bills. The 6 questions also on e-naira says CBN recently issued a statement assuring that it will protect vulnerable. That is true. Whether cash deposits, even through mobile money agents, will be. I think it is the same thing. Cash deposit at mobile money agents will not attract any charges. If it does, please report that agent. He has the telephone number, he has the name, wherever it may be, so that we can assist you. Nancy, you talked about CBN would be exiting quasi fiscal, and it is true, and you can see that we are gradually exiting it. We are reducing, or we are moderating gradually our interventions in development finance. But that does not mean, like some people have told you, that we have exited the Ankobora program. I just said it now, that we are going to be very, very aggressive. So in order to combat the adverse consequence of the flood, that we are going to be very aggressive in the dry season. And we can only do so through our smallholder farmers and some of the private anchors that we have. Leadership talked about the CBN website, talking about contactless banking. I think what Central Bank has done in the last 12 years is to see to how to deepen our payment system infrastructure in Nigeria. And we are proud that Nigeria's payment system infrastructure is among the top 5 in the world today. And contactless banking, as in you go to a store, you want to pay, you don't have to bring out a credit card, or even if you bring out your credit card, you don't have to start looking for your PIN. You just use your card, just put it on the POS, it will read the details and the payments, and then that is it. You pay and the rest of it. I think that's a simple thing that we should be doing, and I think we will do so. And lastly, we talked about the National Arts Theatre. I am very happy that we've started the program. The project is beginning to show that the resuscitation efforts are yielding results. We are not happy that the contracts for the other 4 vertical hubs have not started yet. I mean the fashion, the IT, the movie and the music. And I have directed the steering committee to quickly ensure that those hubs, construction of those hubs, which is meant not only to complement the National Art Theatre ecosystem, but also to really help our youth improve their creative talents and all that. We would see to the full implementation of the resuscitation and the redevelopment of the National Arts Theatre. And it will cost money, but I think the bankers committee are ready and prepared. We thank them for what they have done so far, and we can only just continue to crave their indulgence for the rest of the project. I thank you all for your attention. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Governor. I think with that, we really have come to the end of this first briefing. But just to remind us, tomorrow by 9 a.m., we're going to have a deep dive on facts behind the numbers, and all members of the Monetary Policy Technical Committee, all of the directors, will be in attendance. Thank you, Governor. God bless you. Ladies and gentlemen.